The cloth flag found within the built-ins in the geometry plugins and the dynamics folder is much like the cloth and the flag, and when we drag it into our scene tree, you can see that it already represents a waving flag. So before we go into the cloth flag properties editor, let's go into our server and drag an image onto here, and we have some flags that we can use. So we'll just go down and drag any flag up there, and then we'll click on the mapping settings here and just change it to vertex, and that pins this texture to the cloth flag. And if we click on the cloth flag icon to go into the settings, the first thing that we have here is our general setting. We have a drop down here that we can also select geometry, move, and advanced. And as we do that, each thing here changes. So let's go back to general. Now under general, we have wind rotation, so we can add some rotation to our cloth flag. There's also a wind elevation. As we increase it, we can increase the wind elevation to it, and you can see that it raises that flag up a little bit on the Y. There's also a wind force set to 10 by default. You can increase that and decrease it, and that will increase the force of the wind applying to this cloth flag. There's a gravity direction set to V by default. You can also change that to U, and then there's a none. If you needed to pause it, you could click the little pause. It will close that flag, and then there's a reinitialize to get it going again. Under the other settings here, geometry, when we click on that, it now changes so you can affect the geometry of this, increasing the tessellation U and increasing the tessellation V. Here you can also make it larger and smaller by increasing the scaling U and the scaling V. As you do make adjustments here, it'll take a second for the cloth flag to readjust into the settings. Under the other drop down here, you have move. So now you have your translate X, so you can put it further left if need be. You also have your Y, which both the translate X and Y and translate Z relate to your transformation axis editor over here. So you can do it right within the cloth flag properties. There's also a rotate X on this and a rotate Y along with a rotate Z, so you can rotate this flag on all three axes. There's also a scale, and as you scale it up here, it will take a couple of seconds to readjust, but it's a way to scale your cloth flag proportionately. The last drop down here is advanced, and again you have a couple of other settings here. Turbulence speed, so you can increase or decrease the turbulence speed both on the R and on the V factor. There's a turbulence factor R and a turbulence factor V that you can adjust, and also the elastic as well. Dampening effect, much like we had it in the cloth. There's also a simulation quality. It's set to normal by default. You also have the option for low and high. Now if you need the wireframe, you can turn the wireframe on to see how many polygons you have. There's also the draw normals, which shows you the forces upon this cloth flag. So another way to do a waving flag type element within Vizrt is this cloth flag.